In the lightning-fast world of technology, you hear people say, well, lines of code speak louder than any human language, right? But what if the very words you use, or maybe struggle to find, are actually the biggest barrier between your brilliant ideas and making a real global impact? Welcome to Daily English Practice. Listen and speak. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something absolutely vital for anyone navigating the digital landscape, mastering English specifically for tech and IT professionals. This is really for you, whether you're deep in the code, managing projects, or just interacting with technology daily. We're setting out to understand why English proficiency is, well, proving to be not just some nice-to-have bonus, but a really fundamental asset. We'll explore the common hurdles, and you're not alone if you face them. And, maybe most importantly, equip you with some concrete strategies and resources to truly elevate your communication in the tech world. So the tech industry, it's truly a global village, isn't it? It's this dynamic ecosystem, constantly evolving, connecting people across continents. But, some might argue that with tools like real-time translation and quite advanced AI, maybe the need for one universal human language is diminishing. Do you think English's dominance is really as solid as it seems, or are we perhaps seeing some shifts happening?
That's a really fascinating point, and yeah, it's a question a lot of people are asking. But what's truly insightful here, I think, is how English has so firmly established itself. It's not merely a trend, it's really become the dominant language in international business, especially within the technology sector. And while those AI tools are definitely powerful, the nuance, the clarity, the precision you need for truly effective collaboration, negotiation, even resolving conflicts, well, within multinational corporations and global trade, that still overwhelmingly leans on human English proficiency. It kind of standardizes operations across borders, improving efficiency and understanding in ways technology just can't quite replicate yet.
Oh, okay. So it's really about more than just getting the words translated. It's about a shared understanding, a shared context.
Precisely. And on a more granular level, English is just paramount in programming, software development, technical documentation. I mean, think about it. You absolutely need crystal clear instructions and precise terminology. Errors here, they don't just stay small, they can cascade into really significant problems. But its role, it stretches way beyond just tech. Consider finance, for instance. It's crucial for interacting with global markets, international clients, or healthcare communicating with diverse patients, understanding critical medical literature, even tourism, right? Serving international visitors, ensuring safety. The stakes are actually quite high across many fields.
Yeah, that point about it being a fundamental necessity really hits home. And it seems powerfully backed up by the data we've seen. Like a British Council report puts a pretty stark figure on it. Something like 70% of global recruiters see English skills as a prerequisite for many roles, particularly in multinational companies. And here's where it gets really interesting for businesses. A survey by the Economist Intelligence Unit found companies that prioritize English-speaking employees reported, get this, a 20% increase in productivity, plus marked improvements in client relations. I mean, that's a huge boost just from language skills.
Absolutely. And the real insight there isn't just about avoiding errors, though that's part of it. It's about the opportunity cost of miscommunication. We often measure project delays and lost time, sure, but the real impact might be the innovation that gets stifled or the trust that erodes, the market advantage lost when teams struggle to articulate complex technical details fluently in English. Being able to articulate clearly, concisely, it can literally be the difference between a project succeeding or failing.
Okay, so understanding the need is one thing, but actually facing the day-to-day challenges is another entirely. Many non-native English speakers in tech grapple with real struggles. Maybe that hesitation to present ideas, or fumbling for the right word when you really need it, or even forgetting simple vocabulary, especially in high-pressure spots like interviews. I've personally seen brilliant engineers hold back on sharing groundbreaking ideas just because they worried about their English. If that's you listening, know this isn't unique. It's a widely recognized challenge. We've seen research on this even with university students, like in machine building and computer science, who expressed a real disinclination to create presentations in English.
Yes, these are indeed very common hurdles. And for students is outside of linguistics programs, that reluctance to present ideas publicly in front of colleagues, it's a serious obstacle. It directly hampers developing those communicative abilities that are just absolutely necessary for people who will become future leaders in science and industry. It's often not about lacking the technical know-how, but lacking the confidence and fluidity to really convey it effectively.
Right. It's one thing to understand the problem, but another to feel like you can actually tackle it. The good news, though, is that these communication barriers, they aren't insurmountable. Not at all. In fact, many of the strategies we're about to talk about are surprisingly straightforward, yet they can be profoundly effective in transforming your professional interactions. So let's start unpacking some practical skills, the things that will truly make a difference in your tech career. We know you're already tech savvy, that's a given. But how do we boost the language side of that equation? What are the core language skills we really need to focus on to excel?
Well, the most effective programs, the dedicated ones, they don't just teach general English. They really zoom in on 5 main skills: vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, speaking, and writing. But the key, the real magic, is that all of this is taught and practiced within the context of real-life tech scenarios. That makes the learning immediately applicable. It's about how you actually use the language in your job, not just, memorizing rules from a book.
That sounds immediately more useful, yeah. Not just abstract grammar. Yeah. So let's start with technical vocabulary. For our audience of tech professionals, it's probably less about defining basic terms and more about how you articulate them clearly, right? Especially when you're collaborating or troubleshooting or explaining complex ideas. Let's take something fundamental like an algorithm. How does English fluency really impact discussing a core concept like that?
Exactly. You might know an algorithm is, a set of instruction, like a recipe for a computer. But the real communication challenge pops up when you're in a meeting, maybe debating the trade-offs between, say, quicksort versus merge sort for a specific data set. Can you clearly explain why one might be better than the other? Can you discuss its time complexity or space efficiency with an international team, maybe over a shaky video call in real time? That's where fluency beyond just the basic definition really matters.
That's a great example. Okay, and what about when different systems need to connect? How does that common term API come to play in actual day-to-day communication?
Right. Take an API, application programming interface. Most people listening probably know it's how different software talks to each other, like a weather app getting data from a weather service. But the real English challenge, often it comes in documenting that API clearly, or explaining its endpoints and authentication methods to a new developer joining the team, or maybe debugging an integration issue with an external partner over Zoom. How do you describe a GAT request error code precisely? Or explain a POST body structure concisely, making sure there's absolutely no ambiguity?
And when things inevitably go wrong,
Yeah.
that's when we hit a bug. How does better language proficiency help navigate that often frustrating experience?
Yeah, bugs happen. But it's usually not enough to just say, hey, there's a bug. Clear explanation in English is vital. Is it a syntax error, like a missing semicolon, a classic one? Or is it a logic error, where the instructions themselves are just plain wrong? And when you're debugging, maybe using tools like breakpoints, can you verbally walk a colleague through your thought process? Can you explain your hypothesis clearly and the steps you're taking to pinpoint the actual problem? Precision here saves hours.
That's a very practical application, definitely saves time. What about the tools developers use constantly, like a compiler or maybe a framework? How does English fit in there?
Okay, so a compiler. It translates the code you write, maybe Python, maybe Java, into machine code the computer understands. The English challenge often comes when you're discussing compiler errors or optimization flags or maybe cross-compilation issues with the team. And for a framework, which is sort of like a pre-built structure or blueprint for building applications, think something like Laravel for web apps, can you clearly articulate why your team chose that particular framework? Can you debate its strengths and weaknesses or explain a custom module you built on top of it, perhaps to non-technical stakeholders? That requires clear language.
I know collaborating on code itself can be tricky, especially with distributed teams working remotely. How does English help with tools like Git?
Git.
Yeah.
Absolutely essential. And it's not just a tool for tracking code changes. It's fundamentally a communication system for developers. The English proficiency challenge here is things like writing clear, concise commit messages that accurately describe what you changed and why, or resolving merge conflicts effectively by explaining your code's intent clearly, or even conducting code reviews where you need to give precise, actionable, and constructive feedback on another developer's pull request. It's like a time machine for your code, sure, but you need to be able to explain the journey, right? And when you're using an IDE, an integrated development environment like Visual Studio Code, can you explain your custom configurations or maybe demonstrate debugging steps over a screen share clearly and without confusion?
Makes sense. And finally, what about reusability in code? Thinking about things like a library or understanding syntax.
Right. A library is basically a collection of ready-made code, maybe a graphics library like OpenGL in video games. The communication challenge might be explaining how you've integrated a specific library, or perhaps justifying why you chose it over another option, discussing its performance impact, or maybe even its licensing details. And syntax, Well, that's the grammar rules of a programming language. While it seems rigid, you still need clear English explanation when you're teaching new team members, or maybe debating a style guide for consistency across a big project. It's all about making sure everyone is literally and figuratively on the same page.
Those insights into communicating technical terms, not just knowing them, are incredibly helpful. So moving beyond the specific jargon, how do you master that everyday professional communication? Especially in writing, where precision is also really key. Emails, for example, they're just a constant part of work life.
Oh, absolutely. Mastering professional email writing is critical. It's often the first impression you make. A truly professional email should always have, well, a professional tone, obviously, but also an appropriate greeting and closing, a really clear and direct subject line, a concise message that states its purpose clearly, an appropriate sign-off, and of course, your signature.
Okay, let's break that down a bit. What's the absolute first thing someone should nail in a professional email? Maybe even before they type the main message.
The subject line, without a doubt. It must be concise and it needs to state the email's topic directly. No vague stuff like question or following up. This immediately tells your recipient what the email is about, why they should open it, and maybe how urgent it is.
Makes total sense, gets it read faster.
Yeah.
And once you're past that subject line, how should you actually address recipients? Especially thinking about multicultural teams where norms might differ.
Good point. Always address recipients properly. Typically, using dear followed by their name is safe and professional. Hello or hi can be okay in less formal contexts or ongoing conversations, but dear is generally better for initial contact. Be mindful of cultural nuances, yes. Some cultures definitely prefer more formal salutations. If in doubt, err on the side of formality. Then, crucially, keep the email focused on just one main topic. If you have multiple distinct points to discuss, maybe consider sending separate emails, or at least clearly use bullet points or numbered lists to delineate sections within the one email. Don't make it a huge wall of text.
That's very practical advice. What about common pitfalls? Things like typos or getting the tone wrong. We've all received those emails that are just hard to decipher or may sound unintentionally abrupt.
Absolutely. Proofread, then proofread again. Seriously, rigorously check for any typos or grammatical mistakes. Using a grammar checker tool can help, but don't rely on it entirely. And it's crucial to avoid overly casual tone, slang, or emojis in most formal business communication. It can come across as unprofessional. Remember, too, that emails create a written record. They can be forwarded, they can be searched. So always assume your message could be seen by others beyond the initial recipient. Finally, if you're asking for something or giving instructions, provide clear directions. Include links where applicable. Make it as easy as possible for them to understand and respond.
That's excellent, really concrete advice for written communication. Now let's switch gears a bit. What about verbal communication? Especially for those high-stakes situations like giving presentations or navigating those crucial job interviews. The pressure there can be really intense.
It really can. For presentations, often the core strategy is about overcoming that initial reluctance, that fear, and actively working on building confidence. It's about recognizing that your ideas are valuable, and your ability to articulate them clearly is actually part of their power. Practice helps immensely here. For interviews, tech interview experts give some really practical advice. First, practice solving coding problems in English on platforms like LeetCode or HackerRank. That gets you used to the terminology. But crucially, try to explain your code aloud as you work through it. This builds fluency in describing your thought process under pressure. Interviewers want to know how you think, not just see the final code.
That's a fantastic tip, practicing the explanation of the code, not just silently coding it. Makes a lot of sense. What about when you need to describe your past projects or experiences?
Right. When you describe your projects, try using structured explanations. The STAR method is really popular and effective. That's situation, task, action, and result. Using STAR helps you provide comprehensive, organized answers that give the interviewer a clear picture of your specific contribution and the impact you made. It avoids rambling. Beyond the specific content, focus on strong general communication strategies. Try to speak slowly and clearly, especially if you're nervous. Use relatively simple language. Avoid overly complex sentences if simpler ones will do. And importantly, don't hesitate to ask for clarification if you don't understand a question fully. It's much better than answering the wrong question. You can also try summarizing the question back to them just to confirm your understanding before you dive in.
And what about those nonverbal things, body language, eye contact? How much do they matter, especially maybe in video interviews?
They matter quite a lot, actually. Don't forget nonverbal cues. Try to maintain good eye contact, which on video usually means looking directly into the camera lens, not just at the screen. Use appropriate hand gestures naturally to help make your explanations more engaging and dynamic. These subtle signals can significantly enhance how your message and your confidence are perceived.
Okay, this is all great advice. So for you, the listener, the learner, looking for resources to actually bring all this together in practice, where should you turn? There seems to be so much out there, it can feel overwhelming.
Yeah, there are definitely several valuable learning pathways you can explore. You could opt for structured courses. For example, there's OpenEdG's English for IT, which is specifically designed to take non-native speakers from, say, a lower intermediate level up to an upper intermediate level, all tailored specifically for IT work. Another really interesting option is Ishiwaryu's English for Tech. It's a 7-week course, and it's known for its kind of bite-sized learning approach, apparently inspired by the book Atomic Habits. What's neat is it integrates learning English directly with learning about new tech trends. It also offers personal mentors and a community with speaking clubs, which is great for that daily practice aspect. The key insight here is how these programs blend language acquisition with current industry relevance.
That sounds really targeted. Beyond those formal courses, what about readily available online resources or just daily practices that people can incorporate into their routines?
Oh, there are tons of online resources. You've got platforms like Duolingo and Babbel, which are generally good for building vocabulary and reinforcing grammar basics. Then there are language exchange apps like Tandem or HelloTalk, which offer fantastic opportunities for actual speaking practice with native speakers or other learners. That's invaluable. For listening skills, try resources like the BBC's 6-Minute English Podcast short focused lessons, or find relevant YouTube channels that discuss tech trends or tutorials in English. And honestly, don't underestimate the power of just reading English technical documentation. It's dense, sure, but it's key to understanding industry-specific language, exactly how it's used in practice. Finally, consistency through daily practice really is paramount. Small bits often are better than one long session rarely. This could include things like journaling your thoughts or daily activities in English, making notes of new words you encounter, maybe with your own example sentences to help them stick, reading English news sites or blogs related to your specific tech field, and actively engaging in professional networking on platforms like LinkedIn, comment on posts, share articles, connect with people, all in English. It's also worth noting, the credibility of some course creators like Anna Gandrabura, who has something like 14 years of English teaching experience, plus 8 years actually working in IT. She's worked with leading US and European IT companies, which really underscores how these skills are applied in real-world, high-level scenarios.
Okay, so we've explored the how, all those practical tips, resources, daily habits. Now let's really solidify the why. Beyond just smoothing out daily communication, what does achieving this kind of English fluency truly mean for your career path, your trajectory in the tech world?
Right, looking at the bigger picture, the implications are significant. English fluency acts as a direct gateway to, well, considerable career advancement and professional opportunities. First off, it leads to vastly expanded job opportunities. It truly makes you a much more attractive, often preferred candidate for multinational corporations. We've seen countless testimonies supporting this. I recall reading about a marketing executive who attributed her success at a global firm almost entirely to her strong English skills. And another case where an engineer's English ability was explicitly cited as a decisive factor in securing a really competitive international role. It's not just theory, it's a real factor in hiring and success.
So it literally opens more doors, widens your professional playing field significantly. What about once you're in a role working within a team?
That's the second point. Enhanced collaboration. English often serves as the essential common language in multicultural teams. Having that shared fluency minimizes misunderstandings, which is huge. It fosters more productive discussions, promotes genuine inclusion where everyone feels they can contribute, and even aids in smoother conflict resolution. Ultimately, this often accelerates project timelines because communication flows better. It allows for much more efficient problem solving within diverse teams, ensuring everyone is truly, genuinely on the same page. Third, it directly impacts career progression and promotions. There's research indicating that employees with strong English skills are significantly more likely to get promoted. One study I saw put that figure around 74% agreement among managers. It opens doors to new roles, maybe leadership positions, increased responsibilities. It boosts your visibility within the company and gives you opportunities for cross-departmental projects where you might otherwise be overlooked simply due to a communication barrier. And lastly, it's a crucial bridge for professional networking. Strong English allows you to engage confidently at international conferences, interact effectively on online platforms like LinkedIn, and build relationships within collaborative work environments. Building those valuable connections is absolutely essential for long-term career growth and discovering new opportunities down the line.
It really sounds like mastering English for tech isn't just about the professional gains, important as they are, but it also offers a profound boost to personal growth, too. What's truly insightful here, I think, is that confidence isn't just a nice byproduct of learning English. It feels like an active ingredient in how well your brilliant technical ideas actually land. Even the most groundbreaking tech concept can fall flat if it's delivered hesitantly or unclearly, right? Making English proficiency almost a direct conduit to your professional gravitas and how competent you're perceived to be.
Absolutely, that's a great way to put it. English proficiency undeniably fosters increased confidence. It allows you to express your ideas more clearly, more assertively, in all sorts of contexts, meetings, presentations, negotiations. This naturally leads to better performance in those pivotal moments. And beyond the workplace, it genuinely cultivates a broader worldview. You can engage more easily with global trends, diverse perspectives, different cultures. It makes it an invaluable toolkit, really, for navigating our increasingly interconnected world. It's truly an investment in your whole future, not just your current job.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If mastering English for tech clearly accelerates individual careers, as we've discussed, what might the collective impact of widespread English fluency mean for the future of global innovation itself? How does this common language allow us, perhaps, to not just build better tech individually, but to actually build a better future together, more collaboratively across borders? Something to ponder. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. If you found this helpful, please do subscribe to Daily English Practice, listen and speak wherever you get your podcasts, so you can continue refining your language skills with us.